Hello guys, this is Sam Presto from Sam Presto Films and welcome to 2021. And this year we are going to be talking about a lot of interesting tutorials that will make you become a pro. So once you connect to this channel, by the end of this year, you're already a pro. So if you've not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button and to be connected. And from that, we have a lot of tutorials that have been on this platform. You can check them from how to edit, how to use camera for the first time. A lot of tutorials, just browse, check through, and learn a lot of things concerning media. So today we are going to be talking about what camera to use on a budget, or what camera you can use on a given project, knowing what camera to use, not knowing when to use Red, when to use Canon, when to use Sony, when to use your phone. So if you're shooting an advert, what camera do you use? If you're shooting a documentary, what camera do you use? When you're shooting an event, what camera do you use? When you're shooting a movie, what camera do you use? But before we go further, I want to appreciate and thank the people that have made our 2020 a successful 2020. In spite of the COVID and the restrictions, we thank God, and with these people around us, we're able to scale through 2020. So I want to appreciate people like, there's a lot of people here. So if I don't mention your name, just know we still thank you from Sam Presto Films. We thank you for being a part of our 2020. People like Megascare Photos. Megascare Photos brought a lot of adverts and documentaries we did from different documentaries. We did documentary for Pachamama, and we did advert for them. We did documentary for Irano, and we did advert for them. So I want to thank Megascare Photos, and I want to thank people like Ima Sings that brought a lot of video for me to shoot, and he's been a very good brother. I want to thank people like Senator Albert. We did a documentary for him, an event, and we also did some family documentaries too. Thank you. And I want to thank people like our EP, Pastor Foluke, for sponsoring the movie Seized. So Seized has been a project that I've written for long, but we couldn't find a sponsor. But God used people like Praise and Mr. Akan to give us a sponsor, Pastor Foluke. Thank you for sponsoring the movie. And guys, the movie will soon hit the cinema. If you've not seen the preview, go to YouTube, search Seized, and you enjoy the trailer. I promise you guys, you will really enjoy the trailer of that movie Seized. We are working on getting it to the cinema, so before March or around that time, it will be at the cinema and you get to see this masterpiece. Okay, and I want to thank people like Igwe says so. Me and Igwe have been a brother, so we did a lot of film. He was the producer of the Seized, and we shot his music video. We did other projects. Thank you, Igwe. So I want to thank people like Jonathan. Jonathan also being a brother. We did documentary for CCECC and advert for them. So I want to thank people like Engineer Peter. You've seen the magnificent Valada Hotel in Jos. So I want to thank him. Good. If you've been in Jos, if you're in Jos, go and check Valada Hotel out. The place is masterpiece. So I want to thank people like Tonto DK. Thank you. We worked together last year for her TV series Grub and Rob. Go to YouTube, watch it. Very, very, very wonderful. And thank you for Daddy, for Pastor Nature, for all the music video, all the live recordings, everything. And most of the work I did last year was his work, and thank you for always and constantly using us. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And who else? Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Hime too for the job, for the events and some other stuff we do behind the scene. Thank you, sir. And who else? So if your name is not here, we still appreciate you. Thank you for making our 2020 a very wonderful one. And 2021, we are here again to serve you. We are open for business. We do tutorials, we do events, we do films, we do documentaries, and we do adverts. So book us, hire us if you want those top-notch events and top-notch looks. Thank you. So guys, let's go back to our tutorial for the day. knowing what camera to use. Sorry, I'm using, this is Shusi, very, very nice brand space. I'm using it not because I want to use it. I've been stressed, we've been working, so my eyes been red, and I like the design too. So I just want to shade it a lot. So maybe subsequently I won't be using shade. Okay, so today we are talking about knowing what camera to use at a project. If I'm shooting a movie, should I use my phone? If I'm shooting a documentary, should I use a red camera? If I'm shooting an event, should I use a Canon? If I'm shooting a, what else? If I'm shooting an advert, should I use a Sony? For me, I think I will, this whole stuff, for me, I think I will really say it's for me. It's not like the template. So knowing what camera to use, I will use myself as example. So I use a lot of time, I use red. If it's a commercial video, I use red. Event is not a commercial video, event is for family, for you to watch. But if a client wants a top-notch quality and they want red and they feel they can afford it, to use red, why not? So, but first of all, I will tell you why I use those cameras for different stuff. Because using a red for events, you must have the whole world as your storage space. For you to use a red for events of maybe about 10 hours and working on it post-production, you must have a good machine to edit that event. So they must pay you very well for you to do that. Okay, but for me, now let's start with the red camera. When do I use the red camera? I use the red camera anything that has to do with a commercial quality, anything that is going out there, like is going to a TV station, is going to a digital platform that is commercial for people to watch. I use a red camera, and the clients have to actually pay for it. They pay for the services, and I use it because anything that I'm putting out that is commercial has to come out with a top-notch quality, and you don't have to have a restriction of quality on it because it's going out. You don't know if it's to a TV station, you don't know if it's at the cinema where it will be playing on a big 4K screen, wall screen, and your pictures will be pixelated. So if it's a commercial product like film, I use red. Adverts, I use red. Documentaries, commercial, I use red. So for events, I've never used red for an event. I've never used red for, I think, events. Basically, I've not used red for events. I've not used it for maybe just shooting, I don't know. Telling stories, I've not really used it for telling stories. But funny enough, I'm using red right now for this tutorial. So I think this tutorial is commercial. For me, this year, I think this tutorial is commercial. I can take it to a TV station. I can take it to my YouTube platform. So this year, I want to be shooting my tutorials with red, and I'm using Red Dragon 5K. Okay, so that is when I use red cameras for commercial productions. For commercial production, that's when I use red camera. So when do I use the Sony or the Canon or the ENG cameras or the phone? This is my smartphone right here. So I also use, when do I use smartphone too? I will tell you guys. So now let's say, when do I use the Sony? I think the Sony and the Canon, I will classify them as DSLR. Then I will classify other one as ENG. Then I will classify the smartphone. So let me not say Sony or Canon. So when do I use the DSLR cameras? Okay, I use the DSLR cameras on. It's easy to use, shoot and gun. You're already, you carry it, you strap, you're already there, you're on, you're already taking your shots. Unlike the red camera that you have to set it, screw the viewfinder, screw this, put the V-Lock battery, slot this, push it, it will take time to boot up, then you set it and adjust it. So for easy work, fast work, I use the DSLR camera. And for a low budget commercial too, I use the DSLR camera. When your clients cannot really pay for the red, 100K for red, no, I cannot afford that. And they still want top-notch quality. So I use those DSLR camera that has 4K, even though the crop sensor on those camera is higher than the red. So most time I enjoy using the red because the crop sensor is, I can still get close to full frame, even though there's still a crop sensor on it, I can still get close to full frame. But on the DSLR cameras, I can't get full frame on 4K, and I want to shoot 4K. So when do I use it? So I need to compensate with the lenses I'm using. So on a low budget, fast productions, I use DSLR. I use DSLR for events too. I use DSLR for documentaries too. So if I'm doing documentary or movie and I'm using DSLR shooting on 4K, then it's a low budget for me. But if I'm doing event and I'm using DSLR, it's not a low budget for me. I actually want to use DSLR to shoot that event. And I shoot on 1080 for events. I don't stress myself shooting 4K. But for commercials, I shoot 4K for the DSLR, but I try to compensate my frame, my crop disadvantage. I try to compensate my crop disadvantage on the DSLR with the lenses I use to get a wider view, since I'm constrained by the crop sensor. So that's when I use the DSLR cameras. So when do I use the ENG camera? I use the ENG camera strictly for live event productions, events where I have to stream on the screen or I have to stream on the website or YouTube, events where I have to connect the camera to the mixer and somebody is mixing it and we are watching it on the screen and all those stuffs. I use the ENG camera. They're the ones that have the SDI output, the HDMI output, that I don't need to start converting and restriction the plug. Like some of the DSLR, once you plug the HDMI, your viewfinder is blind, so you have to watch it for whatever preview you're getting. So once it's live production, I use the ENG camera. I try to make sure the ENG camera has different levels of it. They have the good quality, they have the 4K, the 1080, the top-notch quality. So maybe we are going to be discussing that on a subsequent tutorial. So I use the ENG cameras for a live production where I have my full console set up with the mixer, with the cables, the SDI, then the screen, the output, and all those stuff, and it goes on the site. So that's when I use the ENG camera. So when do I use the smartphone? This is a smartphone. So when do I use a smartphone? I use a smartphone when I'm playing around productions, when it's a personal production for me, I'm trying out something new. This is a smartphone and shoots 4K, and the quality is actually awesome. So when do I use it? I use it when I compensate with it. I go to commercials and I use smartphones. I compensate when I have to do some action sequence, when I have to do some flexible moves. When I have to flexible moves, what do I mean? I need to take the shot from the window to the client or the object, and I have to pass the protection, the rod protection, so I can actually pass my smartphone and pick it up, or somebody else takes it and moves, and I still have the 4K quality that is actually I can work on to balance it up with whatever I'm getting with the red. Or there's a commercial I did for ECC that the train has to pass on top of the camera. It was my smartphone I used. That's the place I can use smartphone. I can't use the red camera on it. What something happens. So since the smartphone is just for action sequence, in case it damages, it's cheaper than getting a camera, replacing a camera of 13 million. It's easy to replace a phone of 200,000 or 180 or 150 or 100,000. So that's when I actually use my smartphones, or when I can't lay my hands on any camera and I really want to shoot something. So these smartphones, they are 4K. So I actually use them to shoot 4K and work on it, and it comes out, boom, very good. So that is it. I hope you understand and you know when to use what camera you have to use for your productions. So, and this is where we draw the curtain for today. And this is Sam Presto from Sam Presto Films. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button for a lot of tutorials coming your way this year. And thank you again for watching. And this is Sam Presto from Sam Presto Films, signing out.